need like one of the big like chompy things. You're gonna say action. The shows it's like boom, action. It is officially time for the 3T Exploro Ultra review, a build video that we released around Christmas. It included mine and Jesse's first opinions of this bike straight out of the box. I have been riding this bike pretty frequently for a few months now and kind of made it my main go-to bike just to really get a feel for it. A few things that I really loved about this bike. Overall, this is one of my favorite gravel bikes. Acceleration on this bike when I was riding it felt effortless. On one of my rides that I did with Jesse in Southern Indiana, I felt like I could ride away from him on some of the hills. That's just not something I've been able to really do on other bikes. So the acceleration just felt effortless, whether it was on a flat trying to do a sprint or on a climb. This bike feels amazing climbing. Descending as well, it feels really, really stable under you. One of the cool things about this bike is that you can fit either 700C or 650B wheels. I found myself primarily riding it with the 650B wheels shown rather than the stock 700C wheels that came on this bike. This is my first time riding with 650B wheels, and the 650B wheels did make the bike ride a little bit slower, but that's more of an issue with the smaller wheel diameter and more rolling resistance with these tires.
Whenever I was riding with Chase, she was riding away from me up the climbs because the bike was rotating the wheels faster. Now, I would catch her though. There's no denying that 700C 29er wheels roll faster. I mean, that's undeniable. But the 650B has some major benefits that we kind of learned about for the first time with this bike.
Apex Explore 1x. Stock, this bike came with the SRAM Apex Explorer 1x group set, 700C wheels, and this awesome, gorgeous blue carbon frame. $4,200. Let me double check that number. Yeah, $4,200.
$4,200.
Not including, oh no, that does include tax.
For some reason, how does the website know what the tax in each state is? I guess our website does. Speaking of our website,
bicyclestation.com, duh. And
our website calculates the tax, I think. I answered my own question.
Riding this bike, I felt like the frame was overall pretty stiff, but also it felt very capable, stable, really fast descending. It does have like the chunkier frame design, which I am not an engineer. But I don't know if that helps with the more stable feeling, but I felt like I could descend really fast on this bike.
It's supposed to be aerodynamic.
Well,
that's the reason why it's so thick.
The aerodynamics work.
Yeah.
I felt fast. While I have loved this bike, there are a few things that I really haven't been a fan of. But truly, I only have one complaint about the frame design, and that is this cable for the rear brake. It's like a little antenna that sticks up, and I don't understand why it's routed this way. Aesthetically, it really bothers me, but also functionality-wise, it gets in the way of my top tube bag. So I do endurance, longer gravel races, and I love having my top tube bag. I do love that this has the bolt-on bolts for the bolt-on bag.
Freeze on.
Yes. I typically run for my bolt-on bag a Sodero bag, which you can buy on the bicyclestation.com, but it does have, the bag that I use has a little Velcro loop that goes around the stem headset area just to kind of help keep it a little more stable, and I can't do that with the antenna cable.
Oh, effectively, in my opinion, those bolts are useless.
Even with putting a non-bolt-on top tube bag on here, you still, like, it's going to be really flimsy because you really can't get the bag up against the stem, like where it actually is supposed to go. So that is one of my pretty big negatives about this frame.
I wonder if 3T makes a bag that's like specific for this bike.
This is a negative for me. Not everyone uses bags. This is a pretty big negative.
I think that if you're gonna have a bike like this, you should just assume that you're gonna use a bag, maybe.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
After a quick look on the 3T website, I'm not seeing anything where I would find a bag on their website. If you know, or if you have a solution to this, comment below. Let us know your thoughts on that.
It could be less of a negative. We don't know if there's a solution to this, and if we are wrong, we're sorry, but as of right now, it looks like a
Yeah,
negative.
I'm
me.
still not finding a bag on their website. Anyway, we don't need to keep going on about
it's
bag.
really not.
Moving on from the frame design, more to what this bike came spec'd with. So I am 5'3", and we got this bike in a size 51 centimeter. So from the geometry chart, all that, the frame size is correct for me. But the components that came with this bike were way too big for someone my size. If you watch our build video, you'll see that with the stock seat post and crank right out of the box, I couldn't even sit on the seat and reach the pedals. I've never ran into that issue with a stock bike out of the box. We could have cut the seat post down, but it's a demo bike, so I ended up just taking a seat post that we had, didn't use the stock seat post that came with the bike, just try to get it a little bit lower, because with the frame design here with the little swoop in, can't run a crazy long seat post on the frame. But then also with this size bike, it did come with a 170 crank. Typically, I run a 165 on literally every bike, and every bike around this size, like that 49 to 51 that I've ever encountered, have come stock with the 165. I'm pretty confused about why it came with this, and it also came with 40 centimeter wide handlebars. Overall, I just feel like for a size 51, because below the 51, the only other size option is what they call an extra extra small. And if you get on the geometry charts and start comparing them, Jesse and I determined that the extra extra small would have been too small for me. I feel like in the middle of this two sizes a little bit. So for me, if I were to be ordering a 3T, and if you are my height specifically, I think it makes more sense to purchase a frame and build it up on your own versus just buying the stock bike. Because realistically, if I had purchased this exact bike for myself, being 5'3", I would have had to change half the components that came on the bike. Like I would have needed a new seat post, or I guess I could have just cut down the one that came stock. I would have to change the crank, and ideally I prefer 38 centimeter handlebars. That 2 centimeter difference, I can notice it, I guess. That's more of the handlebars specifically are a little bit more of a minor detail for me. But the crank, if you like, once again referencing that build video, I literally could not sit on the seat and pedal.
I also think this is a problem just in general. Some companies are starting to fix this, but if there's no women's specific bike, I think that having the smaller size bikes come with size appropriate bit components should be a number one. It wouldn't have been super hard to just send it out with that stuff.
I feel like that should be a little bit more of a priority. Like Jesse had mentioned, I don't think it's 100% an issue with just 3T. Other companies are sending out smaller bikes with bigger components that don't necessarily make sense for that build. One other issue that I had with the bike was with the SRAM Apex. I didn't love it. I am used to riding with rival and force components, and I just don't know if Apex is worth it. Every single ride on this bike, I felt like the more times I shifted, the worse the shift quality got. Like I feel like between every ride we would have to do multiple adjustments just to get it shifting smooth, but then as I would start riding, it would just get worse and worse and worse again. That being said, I do think if you want electronic shifting, Apex isn't bad. I'm just so used to force specifically is at this point pretty much all I run. That's also because force comes with the smaller shift levers, so it spoiled me a little bit. For $4,200, should this bike have come with Rival? There are other bikes on the market that come with Apex that are priced very similar to this, but also I know that like the Trek Checkpoint SL6 for like around $4,500 comes with Rival. But also you can get the Exploro Ultra with Rival Axis for around $45,000 to $5,000 depending on which wheel set you want. It's a little bit cheaper to get the 650B stock wheel set versus the 700s. Personally, if it was up to me, or if I was buying this bike, I would probably spend a little bit more to get the Rival build, just because I think the shift quality, it's worth a little bit more money to me, especially if like this is your main bike. I would spend a little bit more to get a better group set. The
value proposition of Apex is confusing because it's too expensive to even make sense. Like it's supposed to be a budget group set, but it's like still a $4,000 bike, and I feel like there's no reason for it to exist if it's going to be that close to Rival. It should make the bike cheaper, but it doesn't seem to be really presenting that much value in my head.
If you wanted non-electronic shifting, like if you wanted mechanical shifting on this bike, they do have a 1x11 rival mechanical build of this bike for $3,700 as well.
That's what this Apex should cost, is that $3,700 in my eyes.
I agree. Ultra frame set is $3,100. It is a little interesting. All of that being said, I have genuinely loved this bike. I've been intrigued by the 3T gravel bikes for a little while now. So thank you 3T for sending us this bike to try it out. Our sales rep James has been awesome. He's been calling pretty regularly, just checking in and seeing how I've been liking this bike. And I loved it so much that instead of buying this build and this frame, 3T's newest gravel bike.
Is it called Exploro or is it just the Extrema?
It's the Extrema Italia. Well, the Exploro, the Extrema. Yeah.
And they're
the
not
Ultra,
that.
The Italia, and it's like what?
And they're all very specifically different. Like they all look very similar, and they all have a very specific difference about them. Like they have the Race Max, which is like the racy one with the smaller tires, but it's still like they all have the same design language, so it is a little confusing to navigate.
Yeah. So I have an Extrema Italia frame set on order, and I'm super excited about that one because, like I mentioned, I love the frame. I love how the bike rode, but I'm super excited to try out their newest bike, but also build it up with my parts and parts that really fit me and build it how I have built literally all of my other gravel bikes. Putting on my horse axis, zip wheels, pretty much everything I have on my Crux right now is just gonna get swapped over to the new frame. So stay tuned for that.
This bike is awesome, but I also do believe that the new bike outclasses this Exploro. Not saying that that's wrong. The new bike is double the price of this bike. It's a way more premium product, but like for you, having a 2.2 mountain bike tire in your gravel bike has always been the goal, right? You've always wanted that.
It's just kind of fun, yeah. You know, I don't always need huge ass tires on my gravel bike, but it's fun. I love being able to do that, and like for some of the rides here locally in Hoosier National Forest, I can go just from gravel to jump on a trail and then back on gravel, and it's fun. And yeah, overall,
It's also
love
faster.
this bike. It was really great. Once again, thanks 3T for sending this to us. Loved it. So.
And we're a dealer now too. Actually, we
Yeah,
ended
that
up
too.
selling a bike because we had this one in the sales room. So appreciate that as always.
Yeah, and if you are looking to buy a 3T, hit us up. Let us know.
We ordered
We
some
got
of
you.
the Extremas for stock too, so we'll have an Extrema on the sales floor. It takes a long time to get one. This bike is made in Taiwan. The Italian-made bike takes about 10 weeks right now, which is what you ordered. They make that in Italia.
Italia,
It-
Italy.
You know what's also interesting? I think we're like their experience center too.
We
now.
are a 3T experience.
Yeah, we dove in. We're really stoked on it. Like this bike was a really exciting bike to get in and check out, and thank you to 3T.
Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.
Bell us.
Bells.